Good morning, and thank y'all for joining us for our Beef Brunch news update for Tuesday, July 9th. I know Lee's going to touch on a good bit, but yesterday is when we had Hurricane Beryl come through and the tornadoes and everything else through the Northwest region was hit pretty hard. So I'll just start with saying thoughts and prayers out to a lot of the families through Texas and through the western side of our state that were affected by that, but I'll let Lee get into some of those details a little bit later. As you can see, you are stuck with just Lee and I this morning. Brittany and Trip are working our state horse show. So good luck to all the exhibitors that are competing in that down in DeRidder. They did send me, both Brittany and Trip sent me updates. So bear with me. I'm being very informal, reading them on my phone from what they text me last night and this morning. So from Brittany, for the central part of the state, y'all saw some rainfall over the past weekend, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches, depending on the area. Some hay is getting cut and raked ahead of the rain, but some others could not get it off the ground. Sorry, there was a typo in there. She said hay was getting baked, but I think that's supposed to be raked. So hay was getting raked and getting up before the rain if possible. But the rain was definitely much needed, as the area, really the whole state, has been dry the past couple of weeks. Weeds are still an issue in hay fields and in grazing pastures. So she wanted to note that proper identification of weeds is key to know how to treat them. So if you're not sure what's growing, send us a picture or get one of the agents to come out and work with them to figure out what herbicides you do need to spray. Also, remember to keep an eye out for army worms. We are seeing those. I know we've seen them at the Dean Lee Research Station there in Alexandria too. So they are popping up throughout the state, some. And so work with us if you need help on getting those treated as well. And then just a reminder, get your hay tested for nutrient content, but also check for moisture before you start baling it. I think some people, you at least know someone that's had some sort of issue with the bale catching on fire at some point in time. So remember to reach out to us if you have questions on how to assess for moisture content prior to baling, or reach out to us if you need to have a hay probe, or have us come and test and send those samples off. It is just $15 to get an analysis on your hay done. I'm guessing, Lee, are you going to touch on the state fair hay contest later? Okay, I'll let you do that. So that was what Brittany had sent. And then for Trip, it's pretty similar. So the latest tropical disturbance provided with much needed moisture across the region. So this is for the Northeast region. Rainfall amounts varied. Some producers are still short on moisture. I know even through yesterday's storms from Hurricane Beryl, we got some rain here in Farmerville, maybe an inch or two. I didn't check the gauge before I left the house this morning, but the east side of the state didn't see quite the rain. He goes on to mention that we are squarely in the summertime routine. So most people have wrapped up at least their first cutting, and many have either gotten their second cutting done or in the process of that. And just another reminder on heat stress: don't work cattle unless you absolutely have to. Do it in the coolest part of the days. Same thing for transportation. The last note that he had was horn flies haven't been quite as bad as they have in years past. But if you have questions on what pesticides to use or insecticides to use for those horn flies for treatments, reach out to us and we can work with you on that. If you've been using the same one, remember that we like to see you rotate every year. There's several different classes, so you can rotate from one year to the next on what you're using. Vince, I think, had mentioned this in a previous news update, but if you do put the tags in, they're fantastic. We use them, but remember to cut those ear tags out later in the fall. And the last thing, he just said, give them a call if y'all have any questions, and for everyone to stay safe outside, stay hydrated, and try to stay cool. I really don't have, I think Brittany and Trip touched on everything, really for the Northeast and the Central. Again, even I think throughout the Southeast, we're still seeing some areas that are pretty dry, but getting hay up whenever we're able to and trying to miss some of those sporadic rainfalls, which we definitely do need. So with that, Lee, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you for our Northwest update.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be with you all here today. Ashley's correct in what she's talking about those fly tags, folks. Insect resistance, fly resistance to those active ingredients is a real thing. And a lot of folks say, well, it won't happen to me, and et cetera, and so forth. It can happen, and it can happen very quickly. Think about the life cycle of a fly. And the fact that whenever you apply a product, whether it be a fly control tag or a pour on dope or whatever, you're killing flies, and you're hoping you're killing the vast majority, but you're not killing all. And so, which ones are left to survive? Those with resistance to that product, so forth. I'm not an entomologist. I'm the last person qualified to go into a talk about that. But all I can tell you is that it can happen, and it can happen quickly. The Hill Farm Research Station did quite a bit of fly control work in the late 90s, early 2000s. And friends, I can tell you that they developed some resistance to some products intentionally very quickly on it. So, change those active ingredients, folks, not only on fly control um, products, but remember the dewormers and all that. Maybe we don't need to go into all that right now. So, anyway, get off soapbox, and that's good points by Ashley and Brittany or Trip or whoever, whatever combination of them. They're all much smarter than I am. So, anyway. Yeah, like Ashley was mentioning, we went through some definitely some adverse weather conditions yesterday related to Hurricane Beryl. Boy, our prayers are with those in southeast Texas. Some of the flood videos I've seen or storm surge videos, pretty tremendous, and really hearts go out to folks who lost property. And there's a lot of cattle down in that part of the country. I think that people kind of tend to overlook whenever they're talking about cattle in Texas. They overlook kind of that southeast portion. There's a lot of cattle down in that country, and we know that that probably affected some of those cattle producers down there. So, be in our prayers locally. And as you mentioned in Northwest Louisiana, my goodness, what a day it was yesterday with tornadoes. The tropical storm induced tornadoes from Burl. It was a day to remember for sure. So the National Weather Service in Shreveport issued 67 tornado warnings yesterday. It broke their all-time high by 20 or something. It's a ridiculous amount of tornadoes that hit. At one point, there was 10 or 11 active tornado warnings. So most of those on the ground. Um, Talked to a few producers and some coworkers that have experienced damage from it. Some folks uh, that pretty close to us, and we hold pretty dear there in DeSoto Parish. Took a pretty hard hit, and boy, we're praying for them. And if you got damage, and if there's anything we can do, please reach out to us. DeSoto Parish has been hammered, folks. I know if you're throughout the state, you may not realize it, but in the last few months, DeSoto Parish has gotten inundated with tornadoes. They've had several track through there, and some of them on the same path almost. And so hearts go out to all these folks. It wasn't just in DeSoto Parish. Most every parish in Northwest Louisiana got in on the action, so to speak. We had a tornado pass not a quarter of a mile or so from our house, and didn't touch down or anything, but close enough to get some pretty scary views of it, I guess. Um, did bring there's silver lining to every gray cloud, I guess, and it did bring some much needed moisture. It depends. The farther west you go towards the Texas line, you're going to get into some higher rain amounts. Honestly, I haven't heard any concrete rain estimates from the farther western portions of our region, but I can tell you that in the kind of the central part of our region, we got around an inch of rain, 9/10 of an inch of rain. It's greatly appreciated, folks. I'm telling you, this weather has been sweltering. Mentioned it on the last news update. Very hot, very humid. That trend has continued. This tropical system kind of provided a brief interlude, if so to speak. It's fairly pleasant today, folks, up in our part of the world right now. Winds blowing, and temperatures are at a minimum and everything. So uh, but that won't last long. It's July, folks. We know it's going to get hot again. It's been dry, and so this rain was very much appreciated. Ashley alluded to the fact that be on the lookout for army worms. Oh, that's the case, folks. Were present before this system rolled through, but now, especially this moisture we've got in Northwest Louisiana, they're going to be out there tremendously in those fields. They're really going to have to watch very closely. Talked to a producer early this morning that had some hay that just about ready to cut, and he stated he's going to go on ahead and cut it rather than having to scout it every day for worms. trying to get just a little more growth on it. So that's probably the way to go on that. These insecticides are not cheap, folks, and it's not just the cost of the insecticides; it's the cost of the trips across the field, and so on and so forth. And remember, folks, I don't want to sound alarm here, but I do want to call your attention, jog your memory that back a couple of years ago we were seeing some resistance to lambda as far as the insecticide. So just keep that in the back of your mind. If you have questions on treatment options on armyworms and control options, give us a call, folks. We'll be more than happy to discuss that, discuss some chemical options and some thresholds too on when you should treat and when you shouldn't. Um, go into the cattle markets real briefly. Got kind of an abbreviated cattle market report for this week, and that's due to the fact that the sale barns were all shut down last week. They took a week off for the 4th of July. It's kind of standard practice in our part of the world, and so we don't have a full report, but I'll give you what we have, and it's good what we do have. So at 500 to 600 pound steers, the average of the prices was $2.37 to $2.92 per pound. 5 to 6 weight heifers, $2.15 to $2.66 per pound. Cull cows, $1.14 to $1.54 per pound. Cull bulls, $1.43 to $1.75. Bred cows, the average high price for bred cows paid was $2,280 per head, and the average of the high prices paid on pairs was $2,860. Um, not going to give percent change from last week's report because this is only 1 week's data, and I don't think that's fair to compare just 1 week's data versus two. I can tell you that as far as trend goes, we might have seen just a slight reduction in the 5 to 6 weight steers and their heifer mates, but we saw a surge in cull cow and cull bull prices, folks. These are just no signs of stopping, folks. You read some reports and you read that these packers are short bought on cattle and don't have enough to fulfill orders and stuff like that. And folks, it's really biting on these slaughter cows and bulls, folks. That deficit is there, folks, and you can see by these prices. It's tremendous. I never thought I would see price levels on cull cows and bulls being what they are, but here we are. So I'm not even going to go into our full spiel about why you should cull and everything like that. Um, but just know it's good. And I said that the calf prices might have dipped just a little bit. I don't know that that's true. It might just be a product of the data, folks. The data for this report is 2 weeks old, or almost 2 weeks old in most cases, and the preliminary reports, observations I'm hearing about these cattle markets since they've opened back up from the 4th of July has just been gangbusters. It's been red hot once again. So we'll see what transpires next time we record this news update. Final couple of things I want to talk about. I actually mentioned the State Fair Hay Contest. Our Louisiana Forage and Grassland Council State Fair Hay Contest has been going on for several years now. Joshua Sally is the chairman of that committee. Got the rules posted last week and everything like that. If you need more information on how to enter or the rules on it, just give us a call, contact any one of us. We'll be more than happy to to provide you that information. I can tell you they give out some really good prizes and a really nice belt buckle for the overall champion forage. So get with us and get some hay entered. Looks like there's going to be some good hay made next month or so. Final thing is, no, we several of y'all that listen to this are members of Farm Bureau. We had the opportunity, Vince and Ashley and Brittany and myself, to travel down to New Orleans. I guess a couple of weeks ago for the Farm Bureau convention down in New Orleans. What a great time it was! Really great meetings, enjoyable speakers, unique perspectives, and of course, it's always nice to see our friends, that are in the cattle business or farm in the other areas. I'm in Northwest Louisiana, and I kind of tend to focus on livestock matters and stuff. So it's good. I've got a lot of friends that are in other parts of Louisiana that may be in sugar cane or rice or other crops that I just don't see. And so it's good to get to visit with those people. Farm Bureau does so much good work in this state and within and for agriculture in the state. So good time visiting with all of them and everything like that. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Ashley.
Thank you. Yes, Farm Bureau, it's always a blast. And I know I sat in on the beef cattle and the poultry, or at least part of the poultry sessions, and those are fantastic. So I'm going to echo what Lee said. I greatly appreciated the speakers. Um, I appreciated the economic outlook and the cattle price outlook that Dr. Anderson gave us. I was making the joke that if y'all remember like the Looney Tunes commercials, and I can't remember, or cartoons where the dollar signs would just flash in the eyes. And I felt that's what all the producers were doing, sitting there listening to the fact that Dr. Anderson thinks these prices are going to stay elevated for a little while. So I know input prices kind of take that thought process away, but look for the silver lining in that. I also will go ahead. I think we'll still have a news update that will come in before he joins us officially, but Mr. Will Strickland will be joining us at the Hill Farm Research Station as our poultry agent. And so he's going to be working really technically officially on paper throughout the Northwest region and slash Northeast where our poultry commercial broiler operations are, but he will have statewide coverage. He will be doing some in the backyard knowledge as well. And so we're extremely excited to have Will. And so he was able to speak at Farm Bureau during the poultry session, and I think did a fantastic job. He comes in at the end of the month. I don't remember the official date, but we'll get that. Yeah, somewhere that last week of July. But we'll officially welcome him. I know we have quite a few of you guys that raise beef cattle and broilers as well, and so wanted to go ahead and welcome Will here. The last few things to wrap up are going to be fairly repetitive, just a couple of events that we have going on this summer. So the first one I'm going to mention is Dr. Donna Gentry's Master Cattleman program there in the Southeast region. She has spots that are limited. So this is going to be at the Idlewild Research Station. Only has 20 spots available in that room. I'm not sure if it's full or not yet, but you can reach out to her. I've got that linked in the description, and so you can check on that. The classes start, trying to find the date on here, August 20th, and they will go every week until October 22nd. So that's going to be from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the Idlewild Research Station. The other event, if you'll give me just a moment, navigate my multiple screens. The other event that I've been mentioning is our economics workshop that is being hosted between Louisiana Grazing and Lands Conservation Initiative, Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation, the Livestock Committee, and as well as the LSU Ag Center. And so that's going to be next Friday, July 19th in Alexandria at the Best Western Conference Center. We're going to start officially at 9 a.m., but we have a little bit of a networking and things set up starting at 8:30. Um, Topics for that: fundamentals or fundamental terminology and accounting principles with Ms. Hannah Hendry. I'll do a little bit of an overview on segments of the livestock industry. So this ends up kind of de facto defaulting over to beef cattle, but we are going to talk a little bit about some small ruminant stuff as well during some of these sections. So I'll touch on the livestock industries, more specifically to Louisiana, but nationwide as well. Mr. Cody Moe with NRCS is going to talk grazing economics. Mr. Lee Falk is going to be doing production costs and adding value. Um, we'll have a lunch will be provided, so there is a registration fee associated with this. I think it's $25. And then Dr. Kurt Guidry is going to do a budgeting and operational overview. So different things to think about within your operation. Make sure you're accounting for all of those. And then we're going to conclude with a marketing panel. And so we'll have several producers that are going to be on that. And Miss Amelia Kent is going to be our moderator for that panel. So I've got that linked. Again, you do need tickets ahead of time. I believe it's $25. I don't have that right in front of me. I'm sorry. But we hope to see you there. I'm really excited about this. We've been working together to put this program together and kind of get it organized since really since the end of last year. And so I'm excited to have this. I think it'll touch people with all different experience levels there. So I know we talk about kind of the livestock side of it, but I'm ready to learn a little bit about the accounting and get a refresher on some of that stuff from just the fundamentals there with Hannah that first thing in the morning. So I think that that's all we have. Lee, do you have anything else to add? Okay. Well, we will see y'all again in just a couple of weeks.